What's up, everyone? Welcome to a new, fresh episode of Moving with Life. What's the current phase of moving with life, and just trying to make sure everything's good to go here. Um, today's Monday, so check in Monday, my term, not yours. But as we kick off this week, obviously, as I say more times than not, as far as a lot of thoughts, a lot of questions, been re-listening to some podcasts, been reading Power of Myth. Football was pretty awesome yesterday. If you all are even the smallest football fans, then you got to see probably one of the bigger upsets that's happened so far in the NFL, as far as the Bengals beating the Chiefs at the end to now advance to the Super Bowl. I wish, if I'm being honest, I was a little more energetic. I feel like I had a late start to today just because I stayed at work late yesterday, last night, into this morning. And so I started my day late, and I still feel like I'm trying to just kind of get my head straight for just the day. That's the way I feel. I know it's like 8:00 at night where I'm at, and it's 10:00 in Texas, and but nonetheless, we're here. I'm gonna try to bring some value for today. I want to start off with just a piece of Power of Myth. As I've continued reading, I feel like I made some decent headways as far as like I read more than I normally do. Not over the weekend, but it was like Thursday night into Friday. And it took me back to a few things. So I made some notes, and then as I was making my notes for today, I was like, man, I think I can start. I was kind of not curious, but I was like, okay, where do I want to start? And I said, well, let me just start by writing down the questions that I put in my phone for the over the weekend, and since the last time I was on, let me just start with those notes, and then it brought me back to Power of Myth. So I just want to read a piece, and then we can talk about why I brought it up in the first place. So this is page 1. One of our problems today is that we are not well acquainted with the literature of the spirit. We're interested in the news of the day and the problems of the hour. It used to be that the university campus was a kind of hermetically sealed off area where the news of the day did not impinge upon your attention to the inner life and to the magnificent human heritage we have in our great tradition. Plato, Confucius, the Buddha, Geichi, and others who speak of the eternal values that have to do with the centering of our lives. When you get to be older and the concerns of the day have all been attended to, and you turn of the day have all been attended to, and you turn to the inner life, well, if you don't know where it is or what it is, you'll be sorry. Main part, and the reason why I'm bringing up really the first part, that last part, it makes sense, but really that first part is, one of our problems today is that we are not well acquainted with literature of spirit. We are interested in the news of the day and the problems of the hour, which it's actually gotten worse just because I gotta adjust here a little bit, sorry. Just because now we have social media, now we just swipe, now we have notifications, it goes ping, it pings us, and lets us know, oh, this happened at this time, at this day. And so, sorry, I'm still adjusting here. Well, that's adjustment I need to make for next time. Continuing on, we have social media. We have, obviously, you can get news now. Every news has an app, whether it's CNN, whether it's Fox, doesn't matter. And this book was published in the 80s. 1988 was when the copyright was done, um, and the editions from 1991. And so some of us listening, to include myself, I was not born in 1998 or 1988, so I wasn't alive yet. But the fact that pieces of this book are very not only in tune with today, but they correlate with even today. Um, obviously there was a lot of change in the way media was being done back in the 80s. There's a lot of revolutionary things that were happening, and then obviously TVs were getting better, more things were being done, politics were changing, and so when I read this book for the first time, this was definitely one of the parts like, oh, like this is kind of like now, like this is the same. It's the same as now, and uh, and so the reason why I bring up this whole thing to wrap up the point of Power of Myth for today is because of the whole Joe Rogan thing. Joe Rogan has had Dr. Peter McCullough and Dr. I think it's Robert Malone, on his podcast, and technically they're controversial in like the mainstream media, and I'm not gonna get into the details because that's not what I'm here for. I have my opinion, you have your opinion. Okay. Sometimes opinions are good to bring to a podcast or a setting like this where we can kind of like, I can put them out and I can put out my opinions and we can talk about them and then discuss why your opinions are the same or why they're different. But my thing is that now in Neil Young and Joni Mitchell they took off their catalogs from Spotify because Spotify has Joe Rogan on, and now Joe Rogan had to make put out a short video about what his angle is, what his thoughts are, what his point of view is of the whole thing. And it's like, it's crazy to me that an artist is not willing to have that type of open mind. And because now I wonder, did Neil Young listen to the actual podcast, or is this just something that he saw an article on? So now he's not in favor of Spotify, took out his catalog, or did he listen to it? He actually is against the opinion of Joe Rogan and what was said on those podcasts. I just wonder those details because I haven't heard anything about those details. I would be curious. It's something that came up for me in my thoughts when I was reading everything that came up, and I was getting text messages and articles sent to me by people back home as far as like, oh, have you seen this? I'm like, yeah. It's like it's ridiculous. In my opinion, it is ridiculous. Like it's like you're an artist, bro. Like you're for one, you're a musician, but it's like when you start bringing your political views into everything, it's like it just, I don't know. It leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Makes me want to listen to your music less. Which to be fair, Neil Young, I don't really listen to a bunch of stuff. Joni Mitchell too. I know who Joni Mitchell was only because of the Eagles, because I think she was part of like that movement back during the 70s and stuff. She was definitely one of the names mentioned in their in the documentary for the Eagles. So that's the only reason why I really know about Joni Mitchell, but I don't know any of her music. Joe Rogan said, "Hey, I like Neil Young music. This was awesome. Joni Mitchell, you have awesome songs too. It would have been better to maybe have a conversation on the podcast and not get all lit and riled up. Now, because another thing that I'm thinking about now, as far as getting lit and riled up, is like, was it Neil Young's team saying, "Hey, Neil, this is going on. It's not in your agreement of views. So like, we should pull down the music to make a statement." And well, they're making their statement. They're making their statement, and and then to wrap this up, because I guess I could read more. Am I going to? No, I'm not going to read any more from Power Myth because it doesn't make me upset in the standard definition. It just again, it leaves a sour taste because it's like, just give me the music. And it's not bad to have personal opinion, but when you're pulling down a catalog for politics, it's like I don't know. 'Cause I wonder if he was part of being against the political move. I wonder what his political movements or what his political views were back in the 70s, and all those changes that were happening, and what was coming out of California in the 70s as far as music goes, and creating a new um, branch of classic rock and roll and whatnot. So, anyways, Power of Myth, the news, Joe Rogan. It's like, okay, that's off my chest, and now we can move forward because moving on. There's another Jordan Peterson video I started watching that just got released today. It did get released today. Okay, interesting. I didn't even really. I listened to it today, but I didn't realize it was released today. So I listened to it. It's titled 5 Lessons That Will Make You a Better Person in 2022, Jordan Peterson Motivation. It's little excerpts. And one of the couple of pieces that were mentioned throughout the first big, I guess the first 30 minutes of the video. One of them is appreciate what you have, and the other one, Jordan Peterson makes this comment. He's like, money disappears if you don't if you don't have a handle, if you don't have a control, if you don't have the way I put it from my notes is like, money disappears if you don't keep an eye on it. You can lose it. It doesn't matter. It'll disappear just as fast as you got it. If you don't, manage it correctly and handle it correctly. So think about that. And then this, we had a relatively eventful weekend as far as work goes. And so because my mind has been on that and trying to unload all that stuff that happened, and come back down to earth, for lack of a better phrase right now. But it's like when I listened to his video, and I was actually taking a walk when I listened to his video the first time, and it says appreciate what you have. And it's like, man, and I feel so torn because like I guess, and I don't know if there's a way, but I'd like to appreciate what I have more. Like I'd like to show it better. I'd like to do things better, and that includes trying to live better and all these things that I've talked about, and that do move me. So with that being said, I that's one thing that it's been kind of like sitting on my shoulders, at least over the weekend. Going into taking my walk today. I've been trying to go for runs, even if it's 10 minutes. But today I just went for a longer walk, because I didn't do any exercise over the weekend. If I'm being honest, I didn't. I was just unmotivated. It's the better, cheaper word, but it's like I couldn't get myself to do it. I had work, and I sleep and go to work, sleep, go to work, and then here we are. But to appreciate what you and listen to, Jordan Peterson's had a big impact on me, and I've mentioned that over and over again. But to appreciate what you have, again, for me, it's been like I wish there was a tangible way for me to show it, whether it's to you, my family back home, my friends, my the people that are closest to me in my life. And I think that's also why that's kept my emotion kind of down going into today's episode. For the most part, because yes, the Joe Rogan thing and all that stuff, but it's really what doesn't matter is the emotion attached to it. It's like there's more important things to do than like I don't know. I guess that is my opinion. Like there's more important things to do than cause intervene in multiple points of views, and now interrupt kind of people. I guess in this case, people's ability to listen to your music. It's like I guess I just don't understand. I guess maybe with more context I don't understand, and if there was more context other than the woke community, maybe assisting in pulling down Neil Young's music because of his points of views, and him really pulling it down, because like, oh no, I can't support Spotify if they support and have Joe Rogan on there. And one thing I guess the disappointment I read today was even Dr. Brene Brown said she would hold her uh, podcast episodes until further notice. And it's like once I saw that, I'm like, well, I feel like that's definitely her call. She has so much control over like her team and stuff like that, and not in a bad way. I've learned so much from Dr. Brene Brown, but when I read it, it's like now, like I mean, she's at the helm of her study and her research, and she spent so much time on vulnerability and all these things that have helped me then deal with my vulnerability and invulnerability as well. But it's just like I guess I wondered, like, are you appreciating what you have? Is this are you letting this get in the way versus having the conversation versus discussing it versus hashing it out? I don't know. I just feel like it's a disruption that could be prevented with just conversation and an agreement on hearing each other's opinions. Maybe you don't agree, and Joe Rogan's okay with that. And it's like, you know, I don't know. I guess it does make me uneasy, especially when I kind of just in talking. I just remember Dr. Randy Brown is involved now too with not putting up podcast episodes. But it's like, oh man, like you know, at what cost? I don't know. I guess at what cost? I'm just wondering at what cost would that is that going to be? Money. I mean, we talked about money a little bit last week too, as far as the stock market going down and how this little 30 seconds are not financial advice or none of that. The the stock market's still down. This is not financial advice. We can move on. The stock market's still down to this week. I saw for the most part, are going into this week. So we'll see what happens. Today is the last day of January, so we'll be able to see uh, if maybe there'll be some recovery in February. If not, maybe March, and so on. Yeah, I have some other notes here, and I'm reading through them, but I guess one question I can bring up for that we can. Wait, where are we? We're at 20-minute mark. Okay, cool. Um, and I guess this next one, I guess does tie in better as far as the segue. Whatever segue I thought I was trying to leave Joe Rogan and Power Myth behind, but I guess not. But as far as I wrote down, I can't remember if I got this from somewhere. So I I'm only bringing it because I didn't write down, like I usually make a note like, oh, who said it or who didn't. I didn't write anything down with this one's from a while back too, this question. So I put, why do we let time change us? Why do we let age rob us of our youthful sense of wonder? And yeah, I can't remember if I did think of that, or I can't remember if I got it from a podcast or a movie or something that I heard where it is like, why do we let time change us? And my initial answer, I mean, change is good. Change is absolutely good, but in that change, we have to be able to. I guess do we have? I mean, you don't have to. I guess obviously, because when you don't, then you. But I guess my opinion is that when you don't, I'm not saying you have to accept it, but maybe find the good in the change. When you find the good, or you search for the good, or try to understand change, and things change over time, right? Um, Look at the internet over the past 20 years, 30 years, right? From 1991 to now. Um, Things change, and sometimes we don't like the change. I'm very. I used to be worse at change, and I feel like as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at at change. Period. But I think what I try to do, what I try to remind myself, is that change is the part of the most constant thing that's around. But when you can keep it optimistic, when you can stay optimistic and try to find the good of the change, and then you know, and even if you don't, then go on and then do your thing. If you feel like you're down the path and you don't want to change what you're doing, you also don't have to, but you also don't have to drag other people down. And I'm trying to figure out in real time now, um, how to exactly wrap this thought up, because why do we let age rob us? And I put us, but as I was writing this, I said, why do we let age rob us of our youthful sense of wonder? As I was writing it literally a few minutes ago, I was like, why do I let it? Why do I feel? Why did I put us? Why didn't I put me? Why have I, and then this is a whole rabbit hole that's gonna probably end today's session. But have I let my age rob me of my youthful sense of wonder? Um, and what I think of when I say the word wonder, when I write the word wonder, it's like, I remember being in like elementary school and like different moments in time of the past 30 years where don't daydream in class. Daydreaming's bad. And I've heard, like, I don't know if Seth Godin said it or not. I don't know. But I've heard people that have influenced me. I've heard people say it over their podcasts and being interviewed and whatnot. Because I feel like I didn't used to daydream a lot, but I used to daydream enough. And it was enough to where I can't give you, I can't give you specific examples of what I was daydreaming about, but I just know that I was wandering and, wandering using, WANDR instead of WONDR. The wandering. And as I've gotten older, I've been able to wander again. I've been able to wander more. Sometimes literally, which means going to climb a hill or a mountain, and figuratively going through the podcast, rereading Power of Myth, rereading books, then wondering how can I make the podcast better. But yeah, so again, initially I wrote, why do we let age rob us of youthful sense of wonder? And I'm like, well, I've always been a rather serious person. I tell my parents it's their fault. But now I say it in a very, very jokingly way, because like if I hadn't been raised the way I was, then I don't think I'd have things sorted out the way I have them now. The way things are sorted now, and so it's something that I'm gonna probably ponder on for the rest of this week. Today's Monday. Got some things to do tomorrow, and then work coming up again, and then we'll see what leads us to the weekend, which is too far away. I'm not trying to get there yet, but I am wondering. I am going to be pondering on why and have I let age as I've aged. And now, but the cool thing is, when in saying it out loud and talking about it and thinking about it even for a few minutes, now it's like, okay, how can I retract in a good way? And what I mean by good is, what do I wonder about? What ambitions and goals do I have? Some new, some old, and I don't know. I even wrote. I didn't write it here, but I have it in my phone. I didn't write it here because I feel like I had already talked about it. But values and goals. Like I am that's kind of been the macro, the bigger up top strategic thing. It's like I don't have any goals written down, and I'm gonna have to pick a day to do that. And I've always I always that's a lie. Not that I've always said it, but goals are good. I have done it before, and I had goals, and I would write them, and I would make little squares, and then as I accomplished those short term goals, medium term goals, and long term goals, I would just put check marks. But for me, there was no validation. I didn't feel any validation because there's no external feedback. It's all internal feedback, which is not a bad thing. But being a human, it's I think, and I wonder if you'll agree with me, if you'll spare me, bear me, what I'm saying. But when you have, and it doesn't need to be like a fake pat on the back, but when you find a circle, and I'm saying a circle of people, um, and because I mean the accountability is both ways, good and bad, right? It's just that when I've written my goals and I don't tell anybody about them, so it's actually not anybody's fault. It's just me. It's me writing my own goals for myself, in a closed book that no one gets to see. Um, so then when I make those check marks, it's like, okay, I'm good. Like I'm good in the sense of like I wrote it down, and then I get to a point where I make the check mark, and then there's no like there's no hey man, good job. And I think that's where the self talk comes in of like sometimes there's no self talk, not even negative. I can say that sometimes it was sometimes the self talk is more negative than positive. It's gotten better, but in writing down goals and in accomplishing small goals, big goals, medium goals, it's been it's been very neutral for me. And so I don't know what to do with that. I'm just now we're gonna wrap this up. I have a couple minutes left. Um, but I will allow myself to wonder. And what helps me wonder a lot is actually going for walks versus going for runs. Because I will put on you lately, not usually. Lately, it's been a podcast. It will change to music eventually. I always flip flop between podcast and music, as far as whenever I feel the want and the need to work out. It alternates, so it's never just one thing all the time. 'Cause I'm not the person that does music all the time or does podcasts all the time. It's a both. It just depends on how I feel. And sometimes if I'm not feeling a podcast, then I'll change it to maybe another podcast, or I'll put music on and just kind of get to whatever I want to do. But walking helps me wonder, which is okay, which is good, I'd say. Um, and I guess the point I want to wrap up with for today. Where's my pen? The point I'd like to wrap up with. So Rich Roll was on Tim Ferriss, and I don't know who I. Okay, I seen Rich Roll pop up on my YouTube, but I had never clicked into it. Also because of Tim Ferriss, because of all these people that I already listened to. Rich Roll was like on the recommendations of videos and podcasts alike. Finally, I got around to listen to Rich Roll, and I just listened to it for a second time yesterday. And at the end, Tim always asks, I think pretty much, if not 100% of the time, like 90% of the time, he asks his guests towards the end, if you could have a billboard on the side of the road, don't worry about the cost or anything like that, but if you could say anything you want, literally anything, what would it say? And Rich Roll's first answer was he would have put, "Who are you?" question mark, right? And then as he got through that, he's like, "Who are you becoming?" And I was like, "Ooh," I was like, "Ooh, that's a good one." And I was like, "Oh, that can take us somewhere." Who are you becoming is way different from who you are. Excuse me, sorry. And my point, and I guess for me, is because that's where I'm at even now. It's like I have a grip on some things that I am, some things that I want to get rid of. But it's like, who am I becoming? And that does line up with the fact that I've been talking about. What are my values? What is a value, and do I feel like I have? Do I have some that that I want and have, and then the ones that I don't want, that I'm trying to throw out. But it's like it is different when you say who are you versus who are you becoming. And I was like, man, that's a good one. And to wrap up today, that's where I'm at for today's check-in Monday, check-in Fridays, check-in Mondays, check-in on the days I can. Who are you becoming? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you require, or are you ignoring a drastic change? And these things that I'm asking here is like, yes, I'm talking, I'm looking at you, but there are things that I think about too, a lot. Sometimes too much, a lot. Like I've told people, I promise I'm human. I watch movies. I like watching movies. I like to listen to music. I listen to funny podcasts sometimes. Um, but to stay on the path that I feel necessary, the podcast is part of that. And me listening to more serious podcasts, we'll say, learning podcasts like Tim Ferriss, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, Jocko. It's like, who are you becoming? So I'm going to leave you with that. That's where I'm at for today. Today's the 31st. Last day of January. We have 11 more months to either figure these things out or at least undo the lock and see if you can get into whatever's in that box that you have for yourself. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Who are you becoming? Rich Roll on Tim Ferriss. Who am I becoming? The simple cheap term is I'm becoming better. I'd like to become a better person, more consistent, the better person. What that exactly tells out to is mine, but hopefully that can give you some ideas as to your direction and where you'd like to go and what and who you'd like to become, and figure out the how you can get there, because that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what I've done. That's what I'm gonna do. So yeah, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Still working out the kinks as far as make sure that it's not blurry. I think it's okay right now, but still a work in progress nonetheless. And take care of yourself mentally and physically. Lead from the front if you have a team, if you have a household. If you're the breadwinner, if you're not the breadwinner, it doesn't matter. You can still help and lead, and when you need help, ask for help. Ask questions. Before you argue, try to take 60 seconds and then come back and be like, "Hey, I was upset, and but this is why I was upset. And can we talk about it? Can you talk about it with me?" Stay safe. The weather's been crazy lately, everywhere. I know there's been like snow and freezes and whatnot. East Coast, California had a earthquake. So y'all stay safe out there, and we'll see y'all very, very soon.